Hello and welcome to this week's Vodcast for Thursday the 23rd of September with Kevin Ross for an easy listening digest of the week's news from the Melton Times. Coming up, readers rally to buy new minibus. Melton pays tribute to the Battle of Britain. The record numbers at the beer festival. And in sport, golfers bring the trophy back. All this and more coming up next in the Melton Times Vodcast for Thursday the 23rd of September 2010. On the front page this week, Melton's children's charity The Romney Fund has presented £20,000 to Birchwood Special School for its new minibus. The Trust made good its pledge to hand over the sum after the school, Melton Times readers and volunteers raised over £10,000 towards the minibus appeal last term. Head teacher Phil Omerud and pupils were delighted to accept the cheque, and project leader Amanda Bell can now order the specially adapted minibus. The Romney Fund grew out of Melton Times' appeal for brave Ashby Valley youngster Romany Fugel, a courageous little girl readers took to their hearts, and the livery of the bus will reflect this. Mr. Omerud has said the minibus was much needed and would benefit not just the school and its pupils, but the wider community too. A family ran an emotional half-marathon in memory of Martin Wojak, who was killed in Afghanistan. They raised a staggering £3,000 for Help the Heroes. Corporal Wojak, aged 24 of Croatian Kerry, known as Big Ted, died on patrol with 34 Squadron Royal Air Force Regiment when an improvised bomb exploded. His sister Gosha Brown, brother Jan Wojak and cousins Michael and Keisha ran the Great North Run on Sunday, joining thousands of others in the world's largest half-marathon. Jan and Michael, who trained hard, ran together and finished in about 2 hours 23 minutes. This little bundle of joy held by Gran at Sharon Booker decided he wasn't coming when he was told. The 5 pound 7-ounce baby was born on the bathroom floor after first-time mum Elizabeth Booker was sent home from St Mary's Hospital Birth Centre. Sadly, Dad Julius Davidson, an army mechanic, had returned to Afghanistan just 6 days before his son was born, but he should return next month. A life-changing project to help children suffering because of the nuclear fallout is underway. The Friends of the Children of Chernobyl East Leicester branch are currently hosting 10 children from Belarus. The children come to the UK for a month, once a year for 5 years, extending their life expectancy for many more. The food chain in the former Soviet country is still contaminated by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster of 1986. The children who come to the area are based at Quinneborough School and attend classes as well as visiting a variety of attractions and getting as much food and exercise as possible. Anyone interested in hosting a child or donated clothing should contact Val Hatherall on vhatherall@mac.com.
Hi, I'm Dominic Heel, a presenter for East Midlands Today from the BBC, and you're listening to the Melton Times podcast.
Melton Street Pastors are to hold their first ever open evening on Thursday, September the 30th at Sage Cross Methodist Church at 7:45. Members of the public and local congregations are invited to come along and find out more about the work of the street pastors in the town. Street Pastors, a Churches Together initiative, have been present in Melton on Friday and Saturday night since Christmas 2008. For more information, email meltonmowbray@streetpastors.org.uk. And continuing the pastor's theme, the first ever visit by the Pope to the UK for 28 years was celebrated by pupils at St Francis Primary School. The children watched most of his visits on Friday and took part in the big assembly, linking every Catholic school in the country via the internet. The children learnt all about the Pope and his visit, singing hymns and discussing the Holy Father. Friends of a popular football fanatic who is battling cancer are putting a benefit match to help him fight the disease. Geoffrey Aldridge of Waltham was diagnosed with aggressive bowel cancer in July, which had spread to his liver. Thankfully, doctors removed the affected part of his liver, and he will now undergo a gruelling few months of chemo and radiotherapy to clear his bowel. But he is on long-term sick leave from his job as a driver, and wife Debbie has given up hers to care for him, so his friends have rallied round to help him financially with the benefit match and a charity auction. The Melchester Rovers Legends will play the Half Moon at Egerton Park on 1 p.m. at Sunday. The match will be followed by a food, music and a raffle or auction of items at the Mashed Up. Prizes include a luxury trip to the Premiership game, including dinner and a chauffeur, a signed Aston Villa shirt and much, much more. Those who gave their lives defending the country in the Battle of Britain 70 years ago were remembered in Melton on Sunday. The Melton branch of the Royal Air Force Association commemorated the special anniversary with a parade through the town centre and a wreath-laying ceremony at the Memorial Gardens. A service of dedication was held at Sage Cross Methodist Church on Sunday evening, led by the Reverend Philip MacDonald, with Reverend Sue Patterson, Air Training Corps Padre, giving the sermon. A bus firm and pupils have joined forces in a bid to save a vital route. The 877 Rosswind coach services take pupils to the Grove and Aspie Hill primary schools. County Hall took its subsidy away earlier this year to save money, and if more people don't use the service, it will disappear altogether. It leaves from outside the Crown in Burton Street at 8:23 a.m. and winds its way around the Fairmead and Edgerton estates before dropping pupils off at the two schools and returning. At the end of the school day, the bus leaves Aspie Hill at 3:10 for the Grove and Melton. Seats are also available on the 881 service from South Melton to John Ferney College, as a double-decker has now been put into service. It leaves outside King Edward VII School in Burton Road at 8:20 am during the week.
Have you ever heard the Melton Times?
Have you heard the Melton Times?
The Melton Times podcast. It's news in a flash.
A festive event celebrating local food was marked by the official launch in Melton of the Leicester and Leicestershire Food Fortnight. This year's packed activity events include vineyard and brewery tours, gourmet evenings and tasting sessions. A record number of real ale lovers nearly drank the bar dry on the 8th Melton Beer Festival. The event, part of the fortnight, was one of the liveliest in recent years. The festival had more than 40 real ales and further 13 ciders. This year there was a range of beers from Dorset which attracted aficionados from across the region to sample the drinks. The Food Fortnight, launched at Friday's opening day of the Melton Beer Festival, culminates with the East Midlands Food and Drink Festival at Brooksby Hall on the weekend of October the 2nd and 3rd. This year's festival is expected to attract more than 8,000 visitors, with over 200 exhibitors in a giant marquee. For more information, visit the website goleicester-shear.com/Food Fortnight. And in this week's free time, Feed Me Seymour, Feed Me All Night Long, persists plant predator Audrey 2 in a Little Shop of Horrors, a production resembling a mix of plots from the movies Gremlins and The Day of the Triffids, but in musical form. The carnivorous creeper manipulates florist assistant Seymour Crayborn to supply the human sustenance it needed to thrive and fulfill its sinister motives, with disastrous consequences. Tickets cost £14 on Friday and Saturday, £12 for concessions. For more information, telephone the box office at Melton Theatre on Melton 851111. For more details, visit tmmtc.co.uk. And finally, in free time, looking at the big screen, based on the book by Elizabeth Gilbert, Eat, Pray, Love, Certificate PG, welcomes back Julia Roberts to the big screen as a leading lady. She plays 40-something Liz, who walks out on her first husband, Stephen, played by Dee Krupp, because youthful exuberance has blinded them to their incompatibility. For information, call the Regal Cinema on Melton at 562251 or go to their website, regal-melton.co.uk.
I'm Rob Dorset, the Midlands correspondent with Sky Sports News, and you're listening to the Melton Times podcast.
On the back page in sport this week, Melton Golf Club ladies foursomes team have become county champions. The first time a Melton team has won the competition in more than 30 years. The ladies played Birstall at Cosby Golf Course on Sunday in the final. Playing foursome match play format, each match has to compete 18 holes, and the scores of both pairs representing each team are added together. And not so happy for Craig. Melton racing driver Craig Dolby lost his Super League Formula lead in Portugal this weekend after an incident fraught of a couple of races allowed Frenchman David Rigon to overhaul his 12-point deficit. The Tottenham Hotspur driver suffered contrasting fortunes in Sunday's first 45-minute race. And finally in sport this week, Holwell started their FA Cup Vase bid on Saturday against Alvechurch, looking for a victory to progress to the third round and at the same time kickstart their league campaign. Both teams made a cautious start to the game, with the earlier pressure coming from Alvechurch. However, the first action of the game came from Holwell attack. Final score: Holwell Sports 2, Alvechurch 1. Well, that's about it. Of course, the full stories can be found in the Melton Times. So until next week, when we'll have yet more news and sport, have a very safe week. That was a JK Media production for the Melton Times.